I put that in so people could see what to do. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's actually instructional. Just real quick about isiFederal, and then I'll get to our guests. We serve three primary clients' needs. We can help with the do-it-yourselfers, where we can help market, plan, and train your folks to understand about the federal marketplace. And this is kind of what we do sometimes, even online, to be able to facilitate those things. And then we have some assistance mechanisms that we can do to augment what you're doing. We do a lot of grunt work, making phone calls, scheduling meetings, and we actually have a virtual sales management, so your team could report to one of us so that we can help manage your salespeople. And then we have an all-inclusive, bolt-on, turnkey business development solution for companies that have never done business in the government or are doing business in the government and need to have a salesperson that's feet on the street. Some of our clients are on the West Coast or in Texas or in Florida, and then we act as their liaison, and we're their feet on the street in Washington, D.C., which works out very well. This is outsourcing the whole thing. We build it, you guys bank it, and we guarantee results. If we're doing the work, we will guarantee results for you. And as long as we get to be able to manage that process and be able to help you with that. That is not the cheapest thing in the world. It's like hiring somebody that put on your staff with expertise in the federal government, and that doesn't come cheap, so it doesn't come cheap from us either. But I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. Some of our clients, so that you can see, Murray Corporation, they do tools, Northrop Grumman, most people know them. Janus Associates is new. They do IT security. Roney's Transportation, some of our big clients. Strawn Environmental is one of our great clients. They do environmental services all over the place. So they run the gamut. Coastal Sunbelt's a $200 million company. Obviously, Northrop's larger than that. And then we have smaller companies like Baltimore Remediation, which is just a smaller group, and we help them where we can and how we can in order to get them federal business. About what we're doing here and what you should expect. This is going to be a fire hose session. We're going to go from start to finish. You're going to find that we don't follow the pack. In fact, we don't like following the pack, because if you're with the pack, then you have a whole bunch of people all going after the same thing. We provide straight talk, and part of that is shameless plugs for us as well. We will tell you what we think, and we'll give you help where you need it, and the first part of that straight talk is not necessarily help where you think you need it. As far as how we work this out, we target your market, we position your company, we leverage our relationships that we have, and we build relationships for you, and that goes along with your do-it-yourself, or if you need a little bit of help, or if you want us to take care of the whole thing, and you build it, you bank it. Today's session, we're going to be addressing the federal market in total so that you have an idea of what you're getting yourself into. We did an earlier session today for folks that actually already have federal contract vehicles, either GSA or IDIQs or BPAs in some form or fashion, to be able to do business with the government. So we'll tell you about the federal market and how that works. We'll address the issue of why most companies fail at it, talk about winnable opportunities, and specifically for right now in this time of year is what is the use it or lose it spending, the feeding frenzy that happens at the end of the year. Is it real, and how it works? How you can connect with some of that money, starting with now, and specifically who is spending this money, and using referrals to help get you there. And that's one of the ways that you can utilize isiFederal to get those referrals, to get to those people. And we'll show you a process that works in that fashion. We have some special guests here today. If you were on the call a little earlier, you heard us talking a little bit. Pat Suarez and Jamie Zell. Pat is the president of GSAproposal.com, and Jamie is the VP. Pat is a former buyer, and he started a company that does GSA schedule development. And I think that's particularly pertinent for you folks who don't have schedule or vehicles within the federal government. And they also do GSA updates and provide 8A certifications and other things that can help you as far as facilitating what is necessary to be able to do business with the government. And we'll be talking about how that happens, the kind of time cycles and the length of things to be able to do that. So you'll hear some shameless plugs for them too, because I use them for everything. We looked at doing it ourselves, and I said the heck with that. So if you want to introduce yourselves, Pat and Jamie.
Well, hey, Dave, it's good to be on the show today.
Hey.
Jamie. And I'm Pat, and it's great to be with everybody.
So, well, good. I'm going to launch right into it. We're going to go right into the fire hose. Let's talk about the market a little bit, Pat and Jamie. This market is $425 billion. There's $2.5 million contracts with 23% set aside for small business. I would assume that there's several of folks that are on here that are small businesses and meet that. And the feds buy everything. I mean, one session we did before was talking about with dental supplies and hairspray and toothbrushes and pencils and lawn care services. There isn't anything that the government doesn't buy. It's just a matter of figuring out where they do it, and some of that's local, regional, and folks that are here, I noticed, there's some are from the West Coast, and some are from the South, and some are from populated areas like Northern Virginia. So there's places all over the world, in fact. There's 85,000 buyers, and they're the #1 customer in the world. And we're going to rely on Pat to tell us on a couple things about that in a few minutes about what happens this time of year and what's coming up. But that's the kind of market that we're talking about. So within that, you would think that everybody would have, like, it would be easy for everybody to do it, but not. In fact, 92% of them fail. And 80% of those that already get their GSA schedule, they mean whether they do it themselves and it takes them a year or year and a half or whatever, or they go to GSAproposal.com and they get it in 4, 5, or 6 months, even after that, they lose their schedule because 50% of them don't get one dime. And then another 30% don't reach a $25,000 minimum. Now, if you're in business and you're doing something and you don't meet $25,000 as the minimum, I'm sorry, but I call that a categorical failure. And when we see those kinds of things, we want to help folks not reach that. And guess what? This also includes 8As, service disabled veteran, women-owned, whatever it is that you are. If you have any special certifications, this includes those folks too. 5,000 of 9,000 8As don't get $1 off of that work, and they did a lot of work to be able to get their 8A certification. And so these are the types of things that you're up against. Just because you have these doesn't mean you're going to make money. And so, and here's another one: 8As that graduate, a lot of those disappear. Most of them disappear because they're relying on a vehicle that once they're done with it, and people don't no longer, a lot of that sub-to-prime work, and all of a sudden, boom, fall off the face of the earth. And it's almost impossible for them to get back on because they've lost all the things that they thought were their edge. Now, if you have an 8A certification, absolutely you want to use it. If you have a GSA schedule, you absolutely want to use it, and you want to maximize it to the potential that it actually has there. It's just a matter of being able to get to those people. And so you know, if you're looking to get into this, most of these people spend $55,000 and lose because they don't have the right mindset when they get in. They want to look at 90 days and say, what can I get in 90 days? And you know, I need something right now. If you need something right now, the federal government's not the place for you. If you're ready to look at a long-term sales cycle that can turn into an enormous part of your market and an engine for your business to stabilize your business, the federal government is a great place for that. But it's not a great place for a quick hit, and it's not a great place if you don't have the ability to be able to persevere. And some of that is persevering with dollars, and some of that's just persevering with time. So we'll talk about a little bit of that as well. isiFederal is all about removing the obstacles to your federal sales and getting back to what it takes in targeting. If you have a target-rich environment and that's where you spend your time, the chances are you're going to be reaching the right people. And then positioning yourself with those people so that you have the ability to win and leveraging relationships in order to be able to influence the scope and get you in a place where you can reach the win. And again, it's all about the win. The question, how do you win? Relationships. Relationships give you the ability to know about opportunities before they hit the street. One of the things that you saw a few minutes ago is there's 2.5 million contracts. Well, in Fed Biz Ops, only about 70,000 of those hit every year. So how can it be that there's 2.5 million awards if there's only 70,000? Because some of these are hitting the street, or they never hit the street at all. And those are the places that we want to concentrate. We also want to concentrate on affecting the scope, making sure that we're feeding the information to the right people so that they absorb it. Where do they get the scopes from? Most of them, all of them, in fact, have generated from us. Now, it could have come from us and then gone through many iterations, and then they ask somebody else in the government, and they say, how did you do it? And one agency said, well, we did it this way. And then then they release it. But if you're thinking about where these things come from, they come from people like you and me that are giving them the information so they get it. And we're going to be talking about winnable opportunities, one of my favorite things, because there are opportunities. There are lots of opportunities out there, but what makes them winnable? And one of those things that is very core to everything that we do is people buy from people they like. If you like me, you might buy from me. If I like you, I might buy from you. I can tell you one thing, if I don't like you, I'm not buying from you. That's for sure. And I can't possibly buy from you if I don't know you. And that's the thing. We don't walk into situations and say, hey, here I am, give me $1 million order, because why? It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way in private industry, and it doesn't happen that way in the federal government. The way that this works is relationship plus need equals a winnable opportunity. I was just talking with Pat, who's an expert in GSA proposals, and I told him that a couple months ago I had somebody on that got a GSA schedule in 7 days. That doesn't happen, folks. It just doesn't happen. It happened because there was a need, a dynamic need, and somebody that had a relationship that was willing to be able to expedite that. Don't expect it, and I'm not setting them up for failure for that. Winnable opportunities have minimal competition. This is nothing new. But guess what? Did you know that 50 to 95%, in fact, we just found one, 97, I'll show you in a minute, of opportunities have less than 5 competitors. If you're on FedBizOps, you're going to be there with 10, 20, 30, 50 different folks. And that's not where most of the awards are coming. In this instance, the event services industry, 44,000 contracts, $1.6 billion. Let's look at this. 97%, $1.5 billion of that was awarded with less than 5 competitors. How can that possibly be? Because what happens is people know somebody, and they want it can be driven down from the administrative level and say, we want these guys, and it can be highly political, and then there's ways to be able to minimize your competitors, and that's where you want to live. You don't want to live in the 15, 20, 25, all those folks, because even the winners can't win at that if they win. So we're looking for minimal competition, and we're going to show you how you can get there. You can get there by positioning and understanding your federal buyer. If you do those things and you're genuine about what your deliverables, everybody says, well, we can do this. Once they see what we do, man, they're going to love us. Well, the problem is they can't see what you do unless they buy you, because unless you have a relationship, you're not going to be able to get to that work. So we're going to help you do that. And the positioning and your understanding your federal buyer, we're going to concentrate on that today. And here's where you find winnable opportunities. You find the people that need to like you, and you help them like you by giving them what they need. And I'm going to surprise you with this. It doesn't have anything to do with your business and what you do. It has to do with them and how they buy. And that is one of the things we're going to concentrate today, is how winnable opportunities work in September. And I'm going to turn this over to Pat Suarez, because Pat, as a former federal buyer, tell me what happens in September.